When the government and farming sector bodies announced the country's response to Mycoplasma bovis would be to eradicate it, it was an audacious plan. Central to it was a compensation scheme which would see infected stock culled, farms disinfected and then lie fallow for 60 days, at which stage they could be restocked. To restock, farmers need money, of course, and early on compensation being paid out in periods as short as 10 days was being talked about. But in some cases it's taking months, and they can be tough months. No stock, no income, no money to repopulate. Graeme Butcher is a sheep and beef farm consultant who's been working on behalf of farmers with M. bovis. I asked him how many he's representing.
I've got 8 people, mostly in Southland, who I'm helping with their compensation claims.
Right, and so where are they at? They've all lost their stock, their bovis stock, have they?
Yes, all at different sorts of stages of the compensation claim, I suppose. Most of them have lost stock. Some of them have reared calves to sell at 100 Ks, and they're only just getting rid of those animals now, which creates another suite of problems, I suppose. So each farm has its own peculiar issues about the impact of Mycoplasma bovis. There's no one rule that fits all. Every farm's different.
But I guess what we can say is that people who have lost stock need compensation in order to be able to carry on as a business, right?
Yes, they do.
And how are they going with getting that compensation?
It tends to take a while. Even a simple one like claiming for calves that were destroyed can take months.
And if it's taking months to get compensation, how do people repopulate? Do they have the money to do that? Are the banks prepared to lend them money in advance of the compensation arriving?
Well, I think the banks have been reasonably good about doing things like that, but I know of some cases where the banks have been looking sideways about whether or not they should fund repopulation problems before claims are actually paid. So, yeah, it is a problem.
Is it taking too long to get the compensation through? And this is an unprecedented event in its scale in New Zealand history. So there are inevitably going to be teething problems. But is it taking too long?
I think it probably is. Maybe some of the claims that are put in have been delayed. There may have been issues delaying the claims from the farmer's end, so it's possibly not all MPI's issue, that one. For example, you may have had mitigation procedures put in to counter the loss of income, and they take time to happen, and it's part of the claim, so you've got to wait till that's sort of all wrapped up before you put a claim in. So, but, you know, a calf claiming for animals destroyed is relatively simple claim, shouldn't be taking months.
Right, so that is pretty straightforward. There is a certain number of calves, they have been destroyed. It is that simple.
Yes.
And the compensation payments in those cases are also still taking months.
Yes.
Can we use an example, because that they have appeared on Checkpoint, and so we've talked about them on this program before, and that's Sarah Flintoff and Ben Walling. You're representing Sarah and Ben, aren't you?
Yes.
And how are they going with their compensation?
Slow. Like, for example, claiming in for some calves destroyed on 4th of April, only just been offered today, I think it was. So, you know, it's a fair amount of time.
Wait a sec, so you're saying a claim went in on the 4th of April, is that the correct date?
Yep.
And they've received payment for that claim today?
They've received an offer for settlement on that particular claim today.
Wow, that's a hell of a long time, isn't it? And was that on dead calves?
Well, for a relatively simple one, yes, it is. And I know for a fact there's some far more complex claims about to get up to Wellington from a number of people. So it does concern me a bit how long they might take.
What's your message to MPI? What would you like MPI to be doing that they're not doing?
What are they not doing? It's all related to the speed of getting things done, and Crown Law officers involved in this as well. The claims some of the claims have got to go through them, so there's probably delays there. More people on the ground, I suppose, more people who know a lot more about farming, and being able to ring Wellington, talk to someone, discuss an issue, and get an indication of how that might be viewed.
Thanks, Graeme.
And those things happening quickly as well, because, you know, farming, if you're repopulating, a line of cattle might come up tomorrow and you might only have 12 hours to decide whether to buy them or not. So things need to happen quickly.
Graeme Butcher.